Hello everyone. This is the SIG Docs APAC friendly meeting for the month of August. I am Divya and I'm the co-chair for SIG Docs, and joining me is Tim today, who's fairly early for his time zone, but hi, Tim. and As we always say on these calls, the calls are governed by the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which boils down to please be nice to one another, and please refrain from the use of any harsh or abusive language on the call, and otherwise as well. So it's not like just this call. Um, but okay, the agenda for this call, I will drop the link here. And It's already preset. There's not a lot of discussion items, to be honest. So if anybody on the call has any outstanding discussion items, please feel free to add them here. I shall be sharing the screen in a bit so that y'all can see it. All right. Okay. So hopefully everyone can see my screen, and I am not. Yeah. So I don't think any of us are new contributors here, but if they do end up coming, please have them enter the names here. Uh, so I'll go with some of the housekeeping updates, which are the PR Wranglers for the subsequent, and the very first week of September. This week's PR Wrangler is Nate, and Nate W, on Slack as well as on GitHub. And next week's is Anna, and the first week of September has Ray. Now you can check out the PR Wrangler shifts for the end till the end of this year by going to that link on the agenda. And should you want to actually have some experience in how we all do this, how the approvers actually go about approving and reviewing PRs, please ensure you sign up for the PR Wrangler Shadow program, via which you can actually work alongside the PR Wrangler for the week, and get some experience in that regard. Um, I'll just pause for any questions. I know there might be none, but I'm just going to pause for questions if anybody has anything regarding what I've just said. I'm going to take that silence as a no. So if at any point you have questions, please stop me. Next up. We have the agenda items. Um, the first one is that the release 1.29 is going to be underway starting September 5th, if I'm not getting my dates wrong. And the shadow applications for the 1.29 release team are open. So there's a link here in the agenda documentation, and you can follow that link and fill out the form. And it's pretty much an application for being a shadow on the release team. You just have to give out the necessary details. um uh, Relevant to SecDocs, I think the release team leads are Priyanka Sagu, who's overseeing the entire release 1.29. Um, Xander, who is the emeritus advisor. Kat and Carol will be the docs and comms vertical leads respectively, and will be also representing um on these calls, or have their shadows represent on these calls. We have actually requested that this be the case. So we are going to attend, like Tim, I don't know if Tim is available, but myself, Ray, and Natalie are at least planning to attend a retro this evening, um late evening for us, but early morning for Ray, and request for this to actually be mandated, because it would help if the comms or docs team vertical from the release team actually showed up on these calls and gave the updates themselves, and flagged any issues rather than us actually going ahead and uh, pinging them separately for it. They just have to enter their updates or under this section of the agenda. um we are These were some of the action items from yesterday. So we are, like I said, we're going to attend the call, but we also are going to suggest this is a mandate, and Natalie, who is one of the co-chairs from SIGDocs, has kindly agreed to take on the responsibility of informing the leads of the next cycle of this change, and also to help them document it in their role book. I think it's already documented for what it's worth. So I don't think we need to do it again, but I think mandating it is the thing that we are probably going to ask for, and have it documented like explicit. So I'll pause for a bit there. Does anybody have any questions about what I just said? Because that was a lot of info dump from my side.
Nope.
All right. So I'm gonna take Tim's no and the silence from the rest of the audience as a no, and going ahead with the rest of the agenda. We're coming to the issues in PRs. Tim, I see that you've entered something here. Do you want to speak to it, please? I
Sure.
know you probably have actually done this last meeting, but yeah.
Well, no, I didn't realize we were having two meetings quite so close together.
That's
New for
okay.
me. Yeah, so this is the chance for people in this call to learn that I've proposed a change to how we do feature gates. To maybe have a quick look at the backing issue and the pull request, especially. I'm not really looking for code review in terms of like the implementation. I'm looking for intention review. Like, do we want to do the change that I've proposed overall? Now, I have to say that issue is probably less of a good example than having a look at the pull request. And
Okay, just gotta go there. Then yes, all right.
Essentially, the appearance of the page hardly changes, but the way it's done changes. We end up with a large number of small files, one file per feature gate.
Right. Okay. So let me bring this up. Do you have...
I would switch to the files view of the PR, and
Okay, yeah.
you'll see an example file for a feature gate as how it's done. The issue is like from a couple of years ago, I think.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Okay. This is what I have, and there's a lot of stuff here. So do you have any particular file you want me to point to, like an accelerator, for example? Do you want me to go there,
So
or do
this view, I hope, gives people a sense of what you've got. So just taking that accelerators thing, this is the data. Like I say, there is some code that you can see the templating from, which a reviewer will look at. What you might want to comment on more, and what I'm interested on feedback from everyone, is, do we like the idea of splitting this out? Do we like the idea that each feature gate gets its own file? What are the disadvantages people might think of? What are the advantages? I can also explain if people have questions. Why did you do this, Tim? I can answer that.
I have just one thing in mind, probably. From a maintenance perspective, like once this is in, from a maintenance perspective, I think it'll be definitely easier. But because again, it is just gonna require a single file to be updated, given a particular feature gate, I guess. I'm not sure, but I feel like that would be one of the advantages. But I think also there's like a lot of files to be merged in one single PR, and it's a huge PR. I know we've seen bigger PRs than this. I'm not saying no, but I think there's a huge PR to tackle on like in like a single instance. That's again my opinion. But you might want to explain the rationale behind this.
Sure. I guess in terms of the size, I want to do all of the feature gates. It wouldn't really make sense to me
If you
to
do it one by
migrate,
one, I get it.
you
Yeah.
know, yeah, I don't want to do 250 PRs either.
Yeah.
Make amazing as that might make my contributor statistics look like, it's
Which are already amazing, by the way, Tim. Which are really amazing, by the way. I've been looking at some of the contributor stats to be presenting at like KubeCon, and I would I would probably give you multiple shout outs if that were the case. But that's an aside. And I completely get why you would not make 250 PRs, but I'm just saying that like there's like a huge PR in itself. But
yeah.
yes, please go ahead.
So it's a big PR by its necessity, but this is a smaller. I opened a bigger change. So the thing I originally proposed, I think maybe in 2020. Hey, you know what? I've got a computer. Let me look when I proposed the original bigger change. Did more than this PR. It was December 2020.
Okay.
So what I proposed originally was not just this, but in the front matter where you've got the title, the content type, and some
Yep.
underscore build metadata, I also had information about what versions of Kubernetes this had been at different stages. So alpha, beta, stable, deprecated.
Okay. Yeah.
This PR does not do that. And
Do
in,
that.
in
Yeah.
that sense, I am making it smaller. I know it's extra large, but I'm making it a smaller change than I originally proposed.
I think it's valuable. I'm not gonna take that away from it. Um, Definitely valuable in my opinion, and I'll definitely check it out. But anybody else on the call has any thoughts about it, please feel free to ask questions, um, or share your thoughts actually about whatever Tim's just said. I'm not sure, Vishal, if you're speaking because you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. So you might want to check your mic if you're speaking.
If you need to put a question in the Zoom chat, I'm happy to answer it.
Yeah, that also works, by the way. I'm just going to take a note here in the meanwhile that you are looking out for. Oops. I just.
In the other call, Nate, who is the PR Wrangler, has
Volunteered.
volunteered to take a look. Bishal, in terms of contributing, I think the kinds of contributions that are good now are you could do a nitpicking review. So let's say that I've copied over some text, but you've noticed that one of the words is spelt wrong in my version and was right in the original. So if you compare all of the words and go, if you're willing to do that, that's a way to help. Now, if that's a lot of work, what you might want to do is split the work and say, I'd like to do just the A's. And I have checked all of the feature gates beginning with A, word for word, and I stopped at the end of A. Does that make sense, Bishal, as a thing to do? Cool. Just if and you can do that on your own initiative. You don't need to agree with other people. You can say, I started at the beginning of A, went through A. That was enough for me. That was plenty of effort. I stopped. You don't need to get permission from anyone to do that. And for anyone who's interested, Another thing that you can do is think about how you might follow this up. So you could ask questions about, well, hey, I've seen this issue, and I can see we've got a pull request, which does the first bit. I think the next bit looks like this. Have I got that right? So, you might have one opinion about what we should do next, and you can already start thinking about the next steps. And that discussion in the issue would be very useful, actually, because and Shivan's got I think an unrelated question to this. I would just say, Shivan, this is a very complicated pull request. This might be the most complicated pull request we review for a few months, but we'll come to your question in a second. I don't have anything more to say on reviews and next steps.
Okay, so summarizing what you've just said, we're looking out for intentional reviews from contributors and potential areas to actually contribute on the request. I've written this down in the document as well. Potential areas to contribute would be nitpicking reviews or reviewing specific chunks of files, maybe starting with a specific alphabet or related to a particular area, however you'd feel comfortable. And also think about how you can follow this up with like the next steps. Does that sound okay based on what we just discussed?
Sure. And if anyone wants to do a full review of this massive PR, you are welcome to as well. Just, set yourself down with a warm drink, before, because
For several days, Tim, for several days. That would be more realistic at this point.
Should we go to Shivam's question?
Yes, that would be great, please. You probably have to read out because I can't see the chat. If you can read out, please, that would be great.
Shivam asked, I am here to learn how to contribute in SIG docs. Is this right place?
Absolutely, since this is the SIG docs call. So you're in the right place. Here, I'm just going to write it here. You have to contribute to SIG docs. So I would first, I don't know if you've already joined our channel. So one of the things that you can do is join the Slack channel. I do not know whether or not you have. So slack.kates.io. Okay. Slack.kates.io is the Slack channel we hang out in most of the time. So we have a bunch of resources pinned to that channel, and we think they would be helpful to anyone who's beginning to contribute, or anyone who's looking to restart contributing. Either way, it is pretty useful as far as we go. And there's also a new contributor ambassador call that we have every start of the month. That will be in 2 weeks. On Tuesday, we have this call where the new contributor ambassador Arsh gathers with all the new contributors. If you sign up to our mailing list, you'll get the invite for that call as well, and you'd gain a better understanding of how and where you can contribute if you're like starting out fresh or stuff like that. But the recommendation is to join the mailing list, join the Slack channel, and join the new contributor call, because it really helps to have like a person guide you rather than us just like breezing through whatever we know. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, or I don't know if Tim actually wants to add on to something there. um Not sure if it answered your question. Sorry.
Oh, I might add one thing.
Yeah.
Shivam, what language would you interested in contributing? Is that English, or is that another language? Okay, cool.
Okay, so if it's English, I think this is the best place you can be in. In case you're interested in one of the other Indian languages like Tamil or Hindi, we have localizations for that as well. So those are potential areas you can contribute to as well. But I think with respect to next steps, what I would recommend as you know something that you would that would help you is a join the mailing list, join the Slack channel, and check out the stuff that's pinned to the Slack channel. Like we have links to the contributor documentation, etc., and attend the new contributor call every um that's held every month, first Tuesday of every month, which would be, I think, the fourth no, the 5th of September, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, those are the next steps that I can think of. But did we answer your question, Shivam, or do you have any further doubts? I am gonna take the silence as a no, Shivam. So if there are any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat. But yeah, we're going to the next questions or discussion points section, wherein uh, first up was your question, Shivam, and the second one was around ideas for our doc sprint at KubeCon Any contributor summit. So um, I don't know if everyone on the call knows, but I'm just going to reiterate for those who don't. So every KubeCon we have a contributor summit, and typically we have doc sprints at both these KubeCons at most KubeCons. The KubeCon China one, I don't think we have any, but um, KubeCon NE and EU are places where a lot of our contributors gather, and we have doc sprint at both of these contributor summits, and we're looking for ideas for this year's contributor summit doc sprint, and I think we're doing one. So abby is Abby McCarthy is one of our localization leads, and she was one of the driving forces behind the dog sprint at a previous KubeCon. So she's going to post on Slack regarding the facilitation of the dog sprint, and to make sure that folks who are at KubeCon NA are able to attend it. So essentially, if there are ideas that you have and you plan on attending KubeCon NA contributor summit, please chime in with your opinions on that post whenever it does get posted. Abby will be posting it in a couple of days, I'm sure. So yeah, that's regarding the doc sprint. Does anybody have any questions around it? Okay, so I'm just um okay, now I think um Bishal has asked a question. What is a PR Wrangler Shadow? Would you mind to tell something about it? So, a PR Wrangler Shadow, I'm just going to open the page here so that you know what I'm exactly talking about instead of me just blabbering stuff. So, so if you can see this schedule here, these are the PR wranglers. Now, what are they? Um, you must have seen the number of pull requests on K website, and you must know that these PRs go through a specific set of reviews and approvals, both from a technical as well as from a qualitative perspective. Um, since you are one of the reviewers for Hindi localization, I assume that's something you know. But uh, with respect to the English website, what happens is, since we have a larger volume of PRs incoming every day, around 25 to 30 PRs incoming per day, we take turns on a weekly basis. By we, I mean SIGDocs approvers take turns on reviewing and approving PRs that are incoming to K website on a regular basis. And we actually we actually ensure that all the coordination and technical POVs and everything is done. So basically, approving and reviewing for English website PRs is what is a PR Wrangler. This We do this on a weekly basis, and the schedule is here. The link to that schedule is also there on the agenda documentation. Now, when you shadow a PR Wrangler, what you essentially learn what to do is how to do all of this for the English website PRs. That is for the main website, as we call it. Primarily because we have a larger volume, we have to actually um, liaise with a bigger stakeholder set as compared to smaller stakeholder sets in the localization. And you understand the mechanics behind the actual approval and review process. So you will actually be working alongside the approver for that 1 week, whoever you choose for that 1 week, and you will learn alongside them how to approve and review PRs. So that is the PR Wrangler Shadow. It's not a program, but you can call it a program because it's ongoing and it's not like a project where it just stops. So yeah, that is the PR Wrangler Shadow thing altogether. Um, does that answer your question, Bishal? All right. Um, I think and there was another question. Shivam, you said that I cleared your doubt, but your doubt is something else. Would you care to elaborate what the doubt was so that I can actually address it? Because I don't know what you were trying to say, and I assumed what you were trying to say, and I answered that question. So if there is a doubt, if there's something that I've not clarified, please make sure you attend. You write it on the chat, and we can get to answering it. Uh, so yeah. So other than that, while we wait for Shivam to come back with his question, uh, one of the other things that we are actively working, not working, discussing on, would be the generative AI discussion. Um, there is an ongoing discussion on whether we want to use generative AI for Kubernetes docs. And this discussion was started on July 11th at one of the EU US meetings by Robert Reeves from the Linux Foundation. So these were the notes, and I would encourage you to go through the notes and understand the context behind this discussion and chime in with your opinions if this is something you feel strongly about, in terms of assent or dissent. That's not a problem. But essentially, if this is something that you feel that should be incorporated on our docs or should not be incorporated on our docs based on wherever you stand, um, please feel free to chime in. The link is there on the agenda documentation again. So we would need to give Robert ideas. I think he was there on the call yesterday, but we would need ideas that are visible to take back to LF, which is the mothership. And we're also in requirement of a proof of concept, right? Because we cannot just randomly say, okay, we want to work on this and then stop and then not do any work on it. So we need a proof of concept or something to show the steering committee what is the actual value behind this thing. So any suggestions that you have, any inputs that you have regarding this matter would be highly appreciated. And the discussion link is linked here in the agenda documentation. Would request that you go and chime in with your opinions. I'll pause here to take any questions around this, or Tim, if you have any other inputs around this, I will pause here to take that as
Well, on the generative AI thing, I've put my comments on the discussion, so no, I won't repeat those things there. You can, if you want to see my thoughts, I've spoken.
Yes. Okay. So, Vishal, you just came back with a question around how do I become a PR Wrangler Shadow. So if you want to become a PR Wrangler Shadow, you just need to state your intent by DMing one of the tech leads or one of the co-chairs regarding your intent for future dates, of course. So you just need to state your intent, and we'd be able to edit that and incorporate you as a shadow. Does that make sense? Um, that's not. Yeah, please tell me. Oh, yeah.
I would add a thing
Yes,
like you.
yes, please.
The approach I recommend is that if you find a wrangler, maybe not next week, but a few weeks away, who's someone who's in the rota. This is the approach I've recommended in the past. So, let's say you want to shadow from 3 weeks from now. You look in the rota, no one is down as having a shadow listed. I'd approach that wrangler, not a chair or a tech lead, and say, hey, you're an approver, you're going to be the PR wrangler. Could I shadow you? And approach that way.
Also, good way. But I don't know if they'll have approval. I mean, if they'll have edit rights on the PR Wrangler Rota. That's the thing.
So you're right, Divya. And if you're an approver watching this video and you need to make an edit, that's where you can ask in SIG maintainers
Yeah.
or message tech lead
Yeah.
share.
Message a lead. Yeah.
But I don't mind if the approver gets the does the edit on behalf of the person who's going to be a shadow.
Absolutely. That works as well. Like, I don't have a problem either way. It's just how you choose to approach it. I'm fine either way. But yeah, that's essentially how you become a PR Wrangler Shadow. There's no complicated form filling. You just have to approach. Hopefully that answered your question, Vishal. Okay, so Shivam has mentioned that he has learned many tools in Kubernetes, but is getting overwhelmed when he visits the GitHub repository of Kubernetes. So, is there anything step-by-step process to conquer the next step? So, essentially, that's what I mentioned a while back. First up, um, I know that you've visited the GitHub repository and are getting overwhelmed. Is exactly why I gave you the step by step. First, you join the first, you join the Slack channel, which is slack.kh.io. In this, you will have links to many of the SIGs that are working on different things, on the various repos that you see in GitHub. You asked specifically to SIG docs, so I'm giving you specific to SIG docs information. So specific to SIG docs, we have a channel, hash SIG docs, and here you will find um, you'll find in information relevant to the contribution to SIGDocs, pinned to the top of the channel. You can go and check out. Um, Similarly, if you are interested in other stuff, not relevant to docs, not specific to docs, you can visit those channels as well and ask them. Um, but specific to SIGDocs, this joining the Slack channel, and you'll also be intimated. I think we also have the mailing list on pinned to the top of the channel. So you can also join the mailing list directly from there. And by joining the mailing list, you'll get access to the calendar invites. We've also linked the PRs that require urgent issues that require urgent attention. So, and our contribution guide, which lists step by step, from a technical perspective, what needs to be done if you're contributing to SIGDocs. So we have all of that there. So that's why that's the very first step that I recommended, was to actually join the Slack channel and check out the resources there.
In the chat, I've also mentioned that we have a new contributor meet and greet, which I've now added to our Slack channel as a pinned message, because it's not something that was pinned until
okay.
a minute or two ago. So you can join that call, which is, I've not been a new contributor for a while, so I don't actually know when it happens. It is 10:30 UTC on a Tuesday,
which is 4 p.m. IST for those located in India. So that would like be a better translation. So 4 p.m. IST on the first Tuesday of every month, our Sharma actually hosts the call, and sometimes if we have bandwidth, we pop by. But mostly it's just a new contributor ambassador with a bunch of other new contributors. You know, having similar questions as you, or maybe different questions than you, on the call, hanging out on the call and having their questions and queries resolved. Does that make sense? All right. I think that's pretty much the end of the okay. I think that's pretty much the end of the agenda that we had. So are there, before I say that we're punting the call, does anybody have any questions or queries or suggestions or anything that need to be added to the agenda and discussed? I will, wait for a bit. I don't want to say 5 or 10 or something like that, but I'll wait for a bit before I ask again, and then punt the call. But if you have any questions, we're also there on Slack, so please don't worry that this is the only place where we hang out. We hang out on Slack as well, so please feel free to actually ask your issues publicly on Slack as well. We do not bite, I promise. All right, then I think that's it from our side, and hope y'all gained a little more insight into the workings of SIG docs than y'all knew before. So I'm gonna punt this call and give you 15 minutes of your time back, I guess. So 15 minutes of your time back, so that y'all can go and take a breather before your next call, or not. So yeah, have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you around in Slack. Bye.
Okay.